I'd like to propose a toast.
A bottle of red, a bottle of whites.
Let's talk about alcohol.
We're from Alcoholics Anonymous.
What's your name?
Well, we're anonymous.
For some, it's merely a beverage to be enjoyed on occasion.
Oh, you're absolute, my baby.
You all right? You told me to ease up on the drinking.
A legal drug, but one that can also be quite dangerous.
How's Donnie K?
I forget. I mean, there was a lot of wine that night.
Though not necessarily. But let's just say Father Phil needed a spiritual intervention.
Well, this Chianti, though, is beyond reproach.
Stealing the sacramental wine? It's not sacramental until they bless it.
In Catholicism, wine is a symbol of the blood of Christ.
It was shed for you.
For Tony, alcohol is often about helping turn down the volume or turn down the noise in his head.
No, shut him off. I've been walking in the walls all week.
Sometimes there's really nothing to say, or at least not until after a couple of tequila shots.
We got any good tequila?
Speaking of tequila, perhaps if it weren't for Meadow seeing pink elephants from taking too many tequila shots and needing Tony's help escorting her from the car to the motel room, maybe she wouldn't have been there to block Febby from getting a good shot of Tony.
Oh, God, everything is spinning. You're not mad, are you, Daddy?
There are certain moments where turning down a drink is seen as a sign of disrespect.
Will you please tell me what I did to this guy? Turn down a drink?
Want a drink?
Another time, Anthony.
Let's whack this cocksucker and be done with it.
How are you? Want a drink? I gotta go, but Ma's alone.
Sometimes we're all hypocrites. Then there are some who wouldn't know what it means to turn down a drink, like Valerie. That's probably why Slava didn't get too concerned right away when Valerie went MIA.
The alcohol, the drugs, breaks my heart.
Now with Dr. Melfi, we see her drinking alone in her office in season 2, prior to seeing Tony Soprano. But before that, was she much of a drinker? Not really. I mean, to her, sharing a bottle of wine among 3 friends is indulging. So perhaps she never had a really serious problem, but I guess going from sharing a bottle of wine among 3 people to taking a shot of vodka with a bottle by yourself, I could see how that would be concerning for her. Alcohol is also involved in a nightmare that Tony has that features Gloria. Maybe in this case, because Tony feels guilty and feels somewhat responsible for Gloria's death. Tony was like the alcohol, the drug, the trigger that pushed Gloria into this dark place from where she couldn't recover. Ironically, Artie may not have had a drinking problem, but he definitely had at least $50,000 of an alcohol problem.
Domaine Vézelay, Terre d'Arros, one of the oldest, largest producers of Armagnac, which is on fire right now in France and all over Europe.
I usually send the bags up, hit the bar, decompress a little unless you're against it.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, you're in AA, just don't want to make you feel uncomfortable.
Little Carmine's one of the few people to be considerate enough to ask Christopher what he wants to do in a certain situation where alcohol's going to be there. Funny, it's someone from the Lupertazzi family rather than the DeMeo family.
Come on, Liz. You're drunk.
Drunk? It's called depression. I haven't had a drink in years.
Everyone's different. Some people use alcohol to cope with feeling depressed, while in others, heavy drinking can be part of what leads one to feel depressed. And then there are others like Liz LaCerva who keep it separate, though it sounds like she did have a problem in the past. And then we come back to Tony pouring the wine that leads Christopher to have a relapse later that episode.
How's that wine? Good? It really is. You should toast your wedding at least. Your kid? Lose my license.
You know, he's been drinking, so he's probably fighting that heroin urge again.
It seems Tony is aware of what can happen if Christopher drinks again, like he tells Adriana on the phone. But he has no problem offering it to Christopher anyway.
You know, on the other side, they consider wine food.
One, the other side being Italy. But also, the other side makes me think of heaven, the afterlife, which Tony sends Christopher to later on as we get closer to the very end of the series. It seems Vito uses alcohol to help him cope with his issues, or at least to serve as some sort of a partial numbing agent to help him temporarily forget about everything. He's barely holding it together, and that's why it falls apart so quickly.
Are you drunk? It's not even 11 o'clock.
You think it's easy? I miss home so bad my heart's a fucking lump. And now this? You think I was looking for you?
Get him a club soda.
You know what? Fuck it. Whatever he's having.
Well, alcohol served as the fuel to the fire for many of these characters in terms of letting go of their inhibitions and whatever impulse control they may have had. It was really Joanne Blundetto who had the biggest alcohol problem, where alcohol was really at the center and not just a side effect or a contributing cause.
Look what they did to my son, those sons of bitches! Fucking vodka.
What time do you start drinking today?
Probably right after you got up.
We can see on Joanne's fridge bumper stickers, little knickknacks with sayings from AA.
Keep it simple.
Guess who else mentions those quotes?
One day at a time.
I'm not an alcoholic.
And while some people go through their own battles,
Some people don't realize what massage involves.
One thing I learned in recovery, other people's definitions of you, sometimes they're more about making themselves feel better.
that doesn't mean they're not going to still be assholes to other people who are trying to make life changes of their own.
Well, if you recover your fucking balls, give us a call.
Another person with similar struggles as Christopher is Juliana Skiff, who we meet in season 6. And just like Christopher, when she gets tempted by alcohol, it often leads to other things. Just like food, alcohol can be present in your life without being a problem.
No blood.
No blood.
Shallow.
Phil, you know the wine makes you emotional.
For others, alcohol was more like the devil on their shoulder, encouraging them and giving them cravings for their even more toxic friend. Now, there's a lot more that could be said, of course. As we see, alcohol is present in nearly every space on The Sopranos. But for now,
I had a few cognacs. Go to sleep.
I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.
Cheers.